Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Race number 7 at Santa Anita on Saturday is a salty turf graded stakes route. It's the San Marcos Stakes, and our preview is presented by DRF Bets. A $200 free bet is there at drf.com/join. There's no deposit required to join DRF Bets. The promo code is FREEBET09. Some hard hitters, some familiar names as we review the entry card for the San Marcos Stakes. Your morning line favorite, It's in the Post. You know, he's just hickory. He shows up and he runs every time.
You know, I tried to beat him last time thinking, well, it's a little bit shorter than ideal. I think he does best at a 1.25 miles, mile and a half, get him off the layoff. And he still won against many of these common foes. And now we're getting out to his game. I've always loved him. I think he's going to be very, very tough to beat.
He's just so tactical. He's going to likely sit yet another good trip. You mentioned that this distance is probably good for him as well. He just beat 4 of these common foes in the San Gabriel last time out in his first start after an underrated performance, I thought, in the Breeders' Cup Turf, a race in which he made a very early wide bid. And against those kind of international horses, top-class horses, he couldn't sustain it. But this is a really good spot for It's in the Post. But there are a lot of folks that think that some of these other San Gabriel horses can turn the tables, most notably the 4 Isotherm, who was returning off of a very long layoff in the San Gabriel, reached contention for a brief moment at the top of the stretch, and then flattened out. Perhaps he ran like a horse that needed the race.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with anyone that wants to make that case. I guess I just still look at it, and you and I think, have shared a common viewpoint of Isotherm throughout the years. Just kind of, he's Isotherm. I know ever since they got him going long on turf, he really woke up, or he got him out to the West Coast, but I guess the other thing, too, that's a little bit just sticking in the back of my mind, Phil D'Amato, tremendous trainer, no question about it. Past 6 months, turf second off to the layoff in a route race, 3 for 25. So we're not talking about, you know, some prolific win percentage here. And again, from an ROI standpoint, it's a losing expectation. I'm going to take a shot against him and say, you know what, if he wins, I'll lose.
He won this race last year, and we were really, really impressed. We were against him that day. We were on DRF Live, and he was very impressive, so much so that they took a shot on the big cap on dirt, perhaps an ill-fated move that led to the layoff for Isotherm. But his best would be good enough. Free Rose is another horse coming off, going second off of a very long layoff after a try in the San Gabriel, and that should be a fitness booster where he was pressing the pace and then tired. You and I, though, always wonder about additional distance for Free Rose. Not really a miler. He's okay at a mile. Not really a 1.25 miles kind of horse, a tweener.
Yeah, I think 1 1/8 miles is really kind of what hits him between the eyes. I think he's a nice horse. I think there's a scenario where he works at a good trip here. If he's ready to go, I'm terrified as you turn for home and you say you still have a 1/4 mile to go.
A healthy Free Rose is something we're not used to seeing because he's only raced twice since December 3rd, 2016.
Crazy.
That's a pretty remarkable statistic. Mr. Rory occasionally outruns his odds, Matt. And the good thing about Mr. Rory is when you stretch him out, he shows speed. And the Timeform US Pace Projector has Mr. Rory close to the pace. They got Free Rose up there, but you'll know Mr. Rory early, and he likes Santa Anita.
I'll be stunned if Mr. Rory's not on the lead. You're stretching out from 6.5 going down the hill to 1.25 miles. I think they have one job, that's to send him Rajiv, get him out of there in good order, clear off to the front, try to back it down a little bit. I mean, you're right, he has done things in the past that make you kind of scratch your head and go, where did that come from? I don't think he's done it against this caliber, but maybe he's one that can hang around and get brave.
Coming out of a listed stakes full of, I think, rated stakes quality horses. P.B. Reese, Richard's Boy came back, popped a 97 buyer at Gulfstream Park last week. Let's talk about Editore, who was 3rd in the San Gabriel last time out. Had a little bit of a trip, if you believe the short comment. This horse popped in the Berkeley handicap 2 starts back over a synthetic surface at a big price. I've always felt that Editore is a nice horse that kind of needs things to go his way.
Yeah, and I admit I think there was a little bit of an issue there where he was in tight, but I have to be honest, I don't think he wins the race if he gets through, and I kind of look at that and say, well, again, if you were going to beat It's in the Post, wasn't last time the time? Unless you're a horse like Isotherm that somebody thinks is just a superior animal, but with Editore, I think last time was the time. Now you're going out to play this horse's game, and It's in the Post. Editore underneath only for me.
Flamboyant has not reached the winner's circle since grabbing the San Marcos in 2016. That's a long time between drinks. You like this horse a little bit last time out in the San Gabriel, and I think you were flummoxed a bit that he was so far back in the early portion of this race because he does not need to be ridden like that.
No, and in fairness, Drayden Van Dyke said it as much. It was his first time on the horse, and he said, I was surprised at how kind of lazy he was early on. But when I'm watching the race and I see that he's behind It's in the Post, I go, he's not going to outkick him. There's no chance that he can win this race. I need to get the jump. The problem I have with this horse now is I don't think 1.25 miles is his game. I think he's a 1.125 miles type, very similar to Free Rose. He's a nice horse, I think, underneath only.
The number 7 is Hayabusa 1. If you're looking for a stranger, if for some reason the San Gabriel just doesn't tickle your funny bone, then you're looking for a horse like Hayabusa 1. Going out for Peter Miller, who's just having a remarkable Santa Anita meet, a horse that overcame a very long layoff to win a non-winners of 2 other than optional claimer last time out at 1 1/8. This horse also has the proper formulator fact for the race. We'll take a look at Hayabusa 1. Peter Miller over the past 3 years with last out winning older horses, making the second start off the layoff on turf. A lot of filters in formulator. 42% and a big ROI. So maybe this horse, I think there's always been a little buzz around him when Graham Motion, maybe he's finally, reaching his potential.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that happened for him was he was just gone for almost a year, Something clearly must have gone really, really wrong, because he has always hinted at having that ability to be able to go out there and run. I also think, for me anyway, 1 1/4, this is his game. I think he's better at this than he is at the 1 1/8. It was a heck of a return effort, but I think he's only going to improve. Problem is, you're going to improve significantly.
And Prince of Arabia will be one of the longest shots on the board. I think he is a really useful optional claiming type. This is a tough graded stakes, and he's had some trouble with the gate in his career.
Yeah, I just kind of look at him and say underneath only.
Well, let's take a look now at our top selections for the Grade 2 San Marco Stakes. It's race number 7 at the Great Race Place on Saturday. We hate to chalk out on you, but we're just fanboys of It's in the Post, and you got to respect his obvious merits on paper.
You know what the other interesting thing, and I'm glad you brought it up, is there a scenario where isotherm, there's so much steam that you can get 2 to 1 on It's in the Post?
We were talking about that, and the wise old owl, Rich Roble, who knows these things, especially in Santa Anita, you can find his name in the selector box in DRF. He says everyone's on isotherm. Everyone that he's talking about, they feel he's going to turn the tables in here. Maybe It's in the Post. A horse that, by the way, really hasn't been respected for all of his overall body work. Maybe he's 2 to 1, and if you think that's value, make your own value line, friends. That's okay.
How many times in his career has he been less than 2 to 1? Once? Twice? I mean, like you say, considering a horse that all he does is show up and run, and okay, he was a little bit of a late bloomer. It took a little while once they really started to stretch him out for him to take it to the next level, but if you told me I'm going to get 2 to 1 on him on Saturday, I'd be very, very interested.
Do you use anybody else in multis, or are you singling?
No, I think it's standalone. I think he's just the best horse in the race.
Well, you're going 5, 8, 7, 4 from a single race standpoint. You'd bet him at 2?
Yeah, I think I would.
I'd bet him at 2 as well. You'd single him.
Yeah.
I would bet him at 2. He's my top pick. I go 5, 6, 8, 4. 2 backups just in case. Flamboyant would be a backup for me, and Isotherm would be a backup for me as well. Race number 7 is the Grade 2 San Marco Stakes. You can bet it with DRF Bets. A $200 free bet. No deposit required. Can be yours when you go to drf.com/join. Sign up to DRF Bets by using the promo code FREEBET09. Approximate post time for the San Marcos is 3:30 Pacific on Saturday. Best of luck.